Okay, so today we're going over using distributive property when solving equations. So the first thing to do is review distributive property. We did this earlier in the year, and distributive property is the property that says if I have a problem with 2 times 3 plus 4 in parentheses, normally we would just do order of operations, do stuff in parentheses first, and then multiply that by 2. Distributive property tells us we can get the same answer by doing 2 times 3 and 2 times 4 and then adding those up. So basically what the distributive property is doing, the 2 is giving out its multiplication to all the stuff inside the parentheses. And if you check these two sides, you'll see that if I do the order of operations, I'm going to get 14. And if I do it by the distributive property, I'm still going to get 14. So they do come out the same. So the reason that we use distributive property is not for problems with just numbers in them, because obviously we can just do order of operations. We use it for when we have variables involved in the problem. And so here's an example of that. And again, what I do is I take the 3 and I multiply it by each of the things in the parentheses. So if I do 3 times x, that's 3x. If I do 3 times 5, that's going to be 15. And so that's going to help us when we get equations where we need to use the distributive property. So on the next page here, I'm going to go through a problem like that. Here's an example of an equation where you have the distributive property involved. And we'll say this is equal to 32. What I'm going to do to start this is take my 4 and distribute it. So 4 times y is going to give me 4y. 4 times a negative 5 here. That's the easiest way to think of this, is that subtraction sign is actually a negative on the 5. So positive 4 times negative 5 is a negative 20. So I have 4y minus 20 on that side. Once I do that, again, just like with the combining like terms, I'm at a two-step equation. So all I have to do is opposite operation on both sides. I'll add the 20. That leaves me with 4y on the left, gives me 52 on the right. And then I just need to divide by 4, and I'll get y equals 13. Again, very important here, when I go to do my check, make sure you go back to the very top, okay? I'm going to plug this 13 in up here. Don't go to this line, because if I make a mistake in my distributing, I won't catch it if I check from here. I always have to go to the very beginning. So I'm going to do 4 times 13 minus 5. Well, that gives me 8 inside the parentheses, and 4 times 8 is 32. That's what I want it to be. So life is good. I know that y equals 13 has to be the right answer. And I'll do one more quick example. And this is where we'd have distributing combined with this problem where we need to do combining like terms. So if I put another 2x there after the parentheses, I'm not going to be distributing that with the 5. The 5 will just distribute to the x and the 6. So I have 5x plus 30 from that. And I just bring that 2x down. Okay? And we'll say it's equal to 58. So now I do what we did in the last lesson, which was combining the like terms. The two that have x's can be added together. 5x's plus 2x's give me 7x's. That 30 just comes down. And again, after I do those two things, I distribute and then combine. Now I'm down to a two-step equation. So I'm just going to subtract 30 on both sides. Leave myself with 7x equals 28. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 7. And I'll get x equals 4. And again, most important is when I check this, I'm going to put it back up into the very top, the original equation, put it in both places. So I end up with 5 times 4 plus 6 plus 2 times 4. I want to see if this does give me 58. So I get 5 times 10 plus 8, or 50 plus 8. And yeah, that does give me 58, which it should. So again, I know life is good. My answer, x equals 4, is definitely right. If you have any other questions, make sure you stop and see Mr. Hood or myself.